welcome to 2022, and let's keep our fingers crossed. That's all I can say. So, hoping for better, uh, just hoping for better. That's all I can say. Just hoping for better, and grateful to be here in the new year. And Michelle, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Deb. Wow, yeah. Let's all keep our fingers and our toes and everything crossed that this year is better than the last 2 years, and that we are able to gather together more often, to see one another, to get out and explore Kansas, to explore our history, and be in one another's company again. It's been pretty lonely.
It has been for a lot of folks. So yeah, that's our hope. So let's start the new year with hope and promise and kindness in our hearts, and um, let's vow to make it a better year. So one of the things that I have resolved to do this year, I don't make many resolutions because there's no point, but I have resolved to promote the Santa Fe Trail and the Santa Fe Trail Association as we continue to mark 200 years of history on the country's most historic road. So I thought that one of the great ways that Michelle and I could do that is by sharing the wonderful we searching for rabbits is to share the resource that is Wagon Tracks, which is our quarterly publication from the Santa Fe Trail Association, and is a tremendous resource. One of your benefits of membership, if you join, you get this quarterly magazine. And actually, we have an annual, what I was just thinking about, publication that is Ruth Friesen is doing just for 2021. So to recap this year's events. So that will be a special annual deal, or maybe annual is only right if you're doing it more than once. So maybe annual is not one time deal, people. You get this
One time
special issue
only.
one time only. So anyway, if you join, we'll make sure you get Wagon Tracks. And you can go back and search the archive of Wagon Tracks. And we've had some tremendous historians, tremendous authors, and of course, Mark Simmons, who's um, the father of the Santa Fe Trail Association, has contributed so incredibly to Wagon Tracks. Um, Mike
Leo
Olson,
Oliva.
Leo Oliva, and Ruth Friesen is our current editor, and she is phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. But she ensures, as all our past editors, that there is a lot of quality there. So we decided that at least every couple of weeks, maybe more often if we get around to it, we're going to take a story from Wagon Tracks and share with you. And conveniently, they are archived at one of Michelle's favorite institutions.
Yeah, folks, if you want to go back and look at past issues of Wagon Tracks, they are available in a digital repository that is archived and housed at the University of New Mexico,
Woohoo!
where folks, I don't ask for a lot, but if you can all send me some great Kansas juju, I need a lot of good Kansas juju right now. I am in the last push to get my dissertation finished so I can defend that dissertation at the University of New Mexico and graduate this coming May. I want to be able to look at the university in my rear view mirror very
Yeah.
soon. But the university does a fantastic job through their library and digital services of housing an archive for Wagon Tracks. And you can go in, and when we will provide you with a link, not only to the Santa Fe Trail Association, but to that link for that digital repository that you can look at, and you can see those past issues. And you can download them. They're in PDF format. You
They're
can read
fantastic.
them. You can search them. Actually, the
Yeah.
archive is searchable, and so you can go in, if you're like me, put in the term women, and it will pull up the various issues where women are mentioned. And so you can search for specific terms, which makes going through all of those issues a lot easier if you're looking for specific content. And it is a fantastic resource that I think everyone, if you have any interest in the West, if you have interest in the Santa Fe Trail or the histories of Western Kansas and parts of Colorado and New Mexico, you definitely are going to want to give these a read.
And every era, just about anything you can think of. I
Hmm.
mean, they're just whether they're biographies, and you've got a favorite biography that you wanted to share, Michelle, and I have to agree, this is one of mine as well.
I absolutely love the story of Flora Spiegelberg. Flora Spiegelberg was from New York, and her husband actually came to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and was a merchant. Actually, he and his brother they were merchants, and she then came along with her husband. And what's interesting about her, she and her husband, they're some of the first Jewish residents of Santa
Mhm,
Fe.
mhm,
What's fantastic about her, and you learn from Wagon Tracks, that she made connections with the Catholic community and created this wonderful alliance between the Jewish community that kind of grew around their home and their business and the Catholic community for charitable work in Santa Fe and the surrounding area. And I found her accidentally. I had an assignment for a historical methods course. We had to go into the Center for Southwest Research. We had to look through the archives for something, and we had to do these different reports on archival collections. And I happened to find her collection at the Center for Southwest Research at UNM. And it had some letters of hers, some of her writings, some other materials. Um, and then that led me to searching digitally. And then what did I find? Wagon Tracks. And there is a huge article about Flora and all of her work. And what a plucky and credible, civic minded, and man, what an amazing woman whose life was shaped by the Santa Fe Trail and commerce in Santa Fe.
well, that whole Spiegelberg family is just unbelievable, and one of the places that I'm planning to visit this month actually is the Peabody Museum in Boston. And they have items that were donated by the Spiegelberg family from the Southwest. So, one of the things that I've been working on, and folks, this is something you can help me with, is connecting all these disparate places and disparate stories to the story of the Santa Fe Trail. So, I contacted the Peabody and asked, what have you got on the Santa Fe Trail? And a lot of times, Michelle can tell you, you'll just go to an archive and what have you got? You might know,
Hmm.
you might know some things, but then always ask what else they've got. What have you got? And they said, "Well, I don't think we've got anything, but let me look." And then they came up with all these items that they had never considered in terms of a relationship to the Santa Fe Trail. But they were looking at maybe just the Spiegelbergs by name or merchants or something. But when you start connecting the dots, then you realize these things traveled up the trail. And that's
Yes.
pretty cool from people who had such a tremendous connection to the trail. So that's one of the places I'm hoping to visit later this month when I'm in Boston. So I'm very, very excited about that. But that's the thing. You start going through Wagon Tracks and it takes you everywhere. Uh, just
Hmm.
just goes everywhere. You don't have to be sitting in Santa Fe, sitting in Kansas City, sitting in Larned. It'll just take you everywhere. So we're real excited about sharing this information with you on a regular basis, and I hope that you get the subliminal message that Wagon Tracks is a tremendous resource.
And if you don't, we will just simply keep
Knock
reminding
you
you,
over the head.
uh,
That's right. We'll just knock you over the
you
head
know,
virtually. Well, virtually knock you over the head with it. That's
and
right.
and folks, really, I mean, as trained historians, Deb and I come in contact with archival collections and materials of all kinds. And I can't tell you all how incredible it is to be able to go out to that repository for Wagon Tracks and be able to pull that information. And you're getting articles that are in there that are written by individuals who do extensive historical research, who know their material, and take the time to share it in the
Yeah.
publication
Yeah.
with everyone. And it is a product of public scholarship, which is really fantastic. And one of the things I also like about it is you're able to track through the years the efforts of various communities and various chapters of the Santa Fe Trail Association and the work they do to commemorate and mark and reflect upon the trail, and how their relationships evolve over time to include women and to include the stories of African Americans and Native people and other groups and connect them to the trail. So you're able to see that through Wagon Tracks. And I think that's really valuable in itself. So definitely Wagon Tracks is something this coming year we're going to be sharing more about with all of you.
And we'll give you plenty of links, but the short story is santafetrail.org. It's got everything you need. All the links to Wagon Tracks. It's got the links to a bunch of other resources, tremendous maps. Oh my gosh. The Frank Norris worked on this incredible timeline of the path of the trail. That is one of the coolest things I have ever seen. And yeah, be sure and check that out. So yeah, stay with us over the next year because we got a lot of good stuff coming in 2022. And we'll be right back.
And And don't forget, you can join the association
Yes,
as well. And then you can get Wagon Tracks in your mailbox.
is this a great country or what?
I know.
Stay with us.
200 years of stories take more than a year to share. The Santa Fe Trail Bicentennial continues through 2025. Join us on this epic journey of exploration on America's most historic road. Find our podcast each week on truckersradiousa.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us at santafetrail.org. The Santa Fe Trail lives on. Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Are these not some gorgeous creatures? This is a snowy owl, and I love owls. I just, like so many people, find them fascinating. And so many folks have been posting online lately about snowy owl sightings in Kansas. Well, if you go to the National Geographic Kids site, which is about all I can understand most days, but they've got this wonderful map of the world that shows where snowy owls live. And it's mostly the Arctic region. In fact, they don't show any yellow dots in Kansas, but we know that, animals don't know where the boundaries are. And for whatever reason, they travel, they get off course, or they do whatever they want to do, basically. So we've seen a lot of snowy owls in Kansas over the last few years, and that gave us just a good excuse to talk about owls in general.
You know, Deb, when I was growing up in Michigan, my mother had a license to rehabilitate abandoned or injured wildlife, and then we would do re-release. And as much as I love the little furry critters like the raccoons and the skunks and the squirrels and the bunnies and everything else, my dad's favorite were the birds, and in particular, the different birds of prey and the raptors. And so we actually, at different times, raised owls that were young hatchlings that were injured or abandoned, and then worked to re-release them into the wild. And owls were among my dad's favorite. And so owls have always had a real special place in my heart. But for many Native people in Kansas and in parts of the Central Plains, owls mean different things. They can be
Oh, and
messengers.
yeah, in the Northeast, you know, the
Mhm.
Eastern tribes, yeah,
Yeah,
they have a different meaning, you know, wherever you are, but it's
yeah.
but a very spiritual connotation, whether it's for good or warning
Mhm.
there are a lot of different meanings, but almost every culture has some kind of spiritual connotation with owls.
So we thought that was a great way for us to dip back into the Around Kansas Wildlife Vault and share the story of owls with you today.
Well, the other night we were walking, Dr. Jake and I went out walking because it had cooled down to what, 80 degrees or something, you know, after the sun went down, and the breeze was really nice, and it was the night of the blue moon, you know, the second full moon of the month in July. It was just beautiful. It was like you've got the whole world to yourself, you know, the fields stretching out in every direction, and then this horrible screeching started. And he had pointed out a few days before that there were a couple of owls like out by the barnyard, and he points those out, and we're a little bit concerned about that because we got all these barn cats, and we need all these barn cats because they keep away the rattlesnakes. No joke. So we, you know, we got a new crop of kittens, and if you need a kitten, you can see it. And so we're, you know, kind of noticed the owls. Frank, I felt like I was in the middle of a Harry Potter movie with this screeching going on all around us.
Owls are fascinating birds.
They
really
are fascinating birds. They really are. And when they talk about their silent flight, that's absolutely true. No sound at all when they're flying. And then you hear screams, and you probably hear the blood-curdling screams of what's being grabbed by the owls and everything. But man, they were everywhere. They were on both sides of the, you know, the country road there. They were just all over the place.
I have an idea. Do a story on owls.
I just happen to have one right here.
Barn owls are the most widely distributed of any of the owl species, as evidenced by the numerous screeches in the night and the poop in the sheds. Apparently, it lives everywhere but Antarctica. According to the Great Plains Nature Center in Wichita, one of the qualities that makes the barn owl such an efficient hunter is its hearing. Although the barn owl has excellent night vision, its ears may be even more important for catching food. Experiments have shown that prey can be located and captured by sound alone. What amazing creatures! Like many nocturnal animals, barn owls often live in the midst of people without their even knowing. They like to roost high and away in old buildings, sometimes choosing the proverbial hollow tree. Females usually lay at least 4 eggs, but might have as many as a dozen. Hatching is staggered, so that a nest might have young birds along with those still waiting to break through their eggs. This could help explain why this owl is so prolific. Seemingly every creature that roams the prairies at night feasts on field mice, kangaroo rats, and other rodents. The barn owl is no different. It occasionally varies its diet with insects, lizards, frogs, crayfish, and yes, even snakes. The other owls that live in Kansas are eastern screech owls, the short and long-eared owls, barred owls, burrowing owls, snowy owls, northern saw-whet owls, and great horned owls. Take a walk at night and listen. Chances are there is an owl listening to you as well.
Okay, we have to go again. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
It's Christmas in Lecompton, where thousands of antique,
Victorian, and themed ornaments adorn 200 trees throughout the Territorial Capitol Museum. Open Wednesday through Sunday, the exhibit runs through January 1st. Spend the day and experience all this small town has to offer, both historic sites, shops, food, and wine. Merry Christmas from historic Lecompton.
Howdy, I'm Seth Hayes, and welcome to my hometown, from then to now. Council Grove has a rich history as deep as the prairie tallgrass. Spend the day visiting 25 historic sites, or explore the unique shops and restaurants, or mosey out of town along the Santa Fe Trail. You all visit my hometown, Council Grove, in the heart of the Flint Hills.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
Welcome back to Around Kansas. I'm Michelle Martin.
I'm Deb Goodrich.
And in our fun segment, now folks, I know it is that time of year where it's a little chilly and there might be some snow flying, but it is never too soon or never too early to think about getting outdoors in Kansas.
And there's a terrific organization, Get Outdoors Kansas. They're just such the nicest people. And they've formed this group of seemingly disparate partners about getting outdoors. I mean, some like Michelle has behind her are pretty obvious, but one of the things I'm really proud of when I was at Historic Topeka Cemetery was that we became a partner with Get Outdoors Kansas, because cemeteries, you know, your garden cemeteries, and Michelle and I have talked about this on other episodes, how they were meant to be enjoyed. They were meant to be outdoor spaces. They're the precursors of our public parks. They're still a great place to get outdoors. So you can take a park like Michelle has and do a pretty intense hike, or you can take the cemetery like I've got behind me and do a leisurely walk outside most days of the year. You know, there are just not many days of the year that you can't get out and enjoy it for at least 30 minutes or an hour. And the great thing I loved about walking around the cemetery was how distracted you become, and you forget that you're exercising because there's so much to look at and you're just having a great time. And you just like the gorgeous scenery behind Michelle, that's a gorgeous picture, right? Isn't that pretty?
It is. You know, Deb, one of the things I love about the Get Outdoors Kansas website, and I'm a hiker, and I know some people would laugh and say, hiking in Kansas, isn't it flat? But it depends on where you are. And some of my favorite hiking in Kansas is actually in the Flint Hills. I love going to the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve that is co-managed by the National Park Service and the Nature Conservancy at Strong City. They've got beautiful hiking trails, and you get a fantastic workout and you're in the Flint Hills. But what I love about this website for Get Outdoors Kansas, you can go in and actually select to look at all the information they have that is submitted to them about hiking trails that are available to the public. And so you're able to go ahead and learn all about the various hiking trails that you can take advantage of in Kansas. For example, the Smoky Hill Loop. They tell you that what I love about their site, they'll give you the name of the trail. If they have a photograph to go with it, you see a photo. They give you the difficulty level. They give you the actual length of the trail, the kind of surface you're hiking on, whether it's natural, whether it's man-made, whether it's asphalt, whether it's crushed loose rock, and what the permitted use is, whether it's strictly hiking, whether it can be hiking and mountain biking, hiking, mountain biking, and equestrian. If you are allowed to have animals, do they have leash requirements? Do they have eco toilets available? Do they have trash cans? It is a fantastic clearinghouse of information to help you find the best places to take yourself outdoors, or to take yourself and the family and get outdoors and enjoy Kansas.
There's just, as I said, there are really not many days. I mean, we may have some bitter cold weather in parts of the state for a week or two at a time, but there are not many days in Kansas where you can't get out and enjoy being outdoors to some extent. And just, like Michelle said, this is a tremendous resource for that. No matter where you are in the state, there is a place to get outside and enjoy the fresh air and look at something interesting, get beyond the four walls. And I think it's a great way to maybe go through a checklist, places you can visit with kids, and a great way to get them outside and learn something in the process, learn a little bit about the geography of the state, pick your places. And Bike Across Kansas is one of the partners of Get Outdoors Kansas, and you can learn more about them and the trek they make. Bike Across Kansas annual event, which covers a lot of miles, but you don't have to do all those miles. You can do part of it if you want to. There's nobody cracking a whip to say you've got to go a certain speed or cover certain mileage. And those are fantastic events. But there's all kinds of events all year. There's special things going on, but then there's just the stuff you can take advantage of every single day. And it's a great clearinghouse. So yeah, be sure to visit this site, take advantage of the information that they have to offer, and get outdoors.
Deb, especially if there's one thing we've learned over the last couple of years with our situation with the virus, and since we're still not sure what's going to happen with that, the one thing we do know is that outdoor activities right now tend to be safer for everybody. And so why not take advantage of the fact that Kansas, has a wide variety of terrain. If you're in the eastern part, especially the southeastern part of the state, you've got that rolling, woody, hilly, rocky area with a lot of trees. You get to that central portion of the state where you've got that classic Flint Hills. You get out to western Kansas where it's more wide open. Your slopes are more gentle, but you've got those wide open spaces. Take advantage of the fact we have such wide open, beautiful space in Kansas, and use that to our advantage, especially right now. Get out of the house, stretch the legs. Like you say, get some really good fresh air, grab some sunshine. The vitamin D is great for you anyway. Get out of the house, combat the winter blues, the boredom, and definitely take in what Kansas has to offer. I love hiking Kansas all 4 seasons because you see something different. The landscape looks different. And it really does give you a great appreciation for our Kansas ancestors who were walking the state or walking the lands before us, whether it be indigenous peoples or folks who came on later, to experience the land in a way similar to what they did in the 4 seasons and to see it change. And so definitely get outside and enjoy everything that Kansas has to offer, because really it is beautiful.
We were talking about owls before, and that's a great reminder that birding any time of the year is, just a great way to enjoy outdoors. So Cheyenne Bottoms, I don't care what day of the year or what kind of weather, that place is absolutely spectacular. But we've got some great birding sites all over the state, corner to corner and all in between. So yeah, there's always something to see, and this is just a great place to find out about it.
Well, I think that's all we have time for in today's show. We hope you enjoyed learning more about Wagon Tracks, snowy owls and owls in general. And we hope that you will get out and explore Kansas.
All right, folks. Have a great start to your new year, and we'll be with you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.